It is, as I said before, a judgment call. The judge is the king of Israel. He is creator of heaven and earth. And because his firstborn, which would be the Israelites, disobeyed, he has sentenced them to 400 years of slavery as punishment. And as I said, this 400 years would have to be served in a country that will be defined as the New Egypt. And that country, as we know it today, this is going back to the days of Moses, but this country is the United States of America. And again, as I said, we are limited here because we're looking at a historical perspective, but it's still within the spiritual framework. And they did not come straight from Jerusalem to Virginia. There's a lot that transpired through the Roman Empire, through, as we said before, Iberia, through North Africa, through even West Africa before all of that. So this is where we would have to go to flush out the historical perspective in a spiritual framework.
Did this happen a little after 70 AD, that migration?
That's correct. That's when a lot of it began. And by 135 that year, the 99% of all the Israelites had already left the Promised Land. They were throughout, Asia, Africa, and then later on into the Roman Empire, around the Mediterranean to the south especially.
So they spent about almost 1,000 years traveling in Europe.
They spent a lot of time, and it is an amazing appreciation of the wisdom of the King of Israel, because in the process, they helped to lay the foundation for a powerful Europe. And I say that because when we look at the economy, we see a lot of our doings as Israelites. We see the same thing in Western Africa. We see the same thing in Western Asia. And wherever we go, we put our hands in that country and lifted it up. But we did not benefit from their prosperity. And that in itself should give you or give us an inkling of where we're heading. Because how is it that we lift up those that were in the garbage pail, but then they get to rule over us without our ancestors receiving any benefit from their rulership?
So while the Israelites are in Europe for almost 1,000 years, they're also in Africa as well?
That is correct. They were in Africa, then they were transported from Africa to the Americas, to Virginia.
That's the Atlantic slave trade you're talking about.
The Atlantic slave trade,
Okay.
That's correct.